have Scott Coker, the founder and CEO of Strikeforce in the studio, but we have Strikeforce Women's Bantamweight Champion, Ronda Rousey, in the studio right now hanging out with us. How's it going, guys?
Good. I'm struggling with these headphones big time over here.
What's the matter? You know how to use headphones. Come on, Ronda. I see you all over the place.
You'd think I know by now.
Yeah.
No.
Well, if you don't know about Ronda Rousey, first of all, you need to be paying attention because she's the baddest woman in MMA right now. She's the face of women's MMA, I would say. She's 5-0. She's the Women's Strikeforce Bantamweight Champion. She's finished all 5 of her fights in the first round, all by armbar, snapping ladies' arms off left and right. And what I really like about Ronda is she's hot.
Extremely beautiful.
She's hot, and she doesn't care. She will tell you to your face, this is what I'm going to do, and she does it.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, Ronda, I mean, first of all, the armbar thing, the finishing all the girls by armbar, is that your go-to move, or is that just happened what happened in the fight?
That's just what kind of comes naturally to me. I mean, I've been doing armbars for a really long time. My mom was a fighter too, you know, and
She was a judo.
she was the first American to win the world championships in judo.
Yeah.
And you know, she wasn't big into buying us Barbies or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
She was like, hey, let me show you how to break another little girl's arm. All the other 10-year-olds are gonna love this. Yeah. So back when it wasn't normal to be taking your kids like jujitsu or judo and like showing them that kind of stuff. Now it's like, oh yeah, I show my kids arm bars all the time.
Absolutely. and you kind of followed in Mom's footsteps. You did a little judo yourself and went to the Olympics and won a bronze medal there, right?
Yeah. I went to the last 2, into Athens and Beijing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to this one to just be a spectator for once, and not walk
You're a little
into
busy
there.
though.
Yeah, freaking out the whole time. Yeah, now we have August 18th. We just announced, my next fight against Sarah Kaufman, which is like the same week as the closing ceremony.
Well, hey, this is kind of important though too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit defending your title.
Defending your title, you're not a true champion until you defend your title.
Ronda said it, man. The Strikeforce is coming back to San Diego August 18th.
Yes.
Valley View Casino Center. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. Now, Scott, I got to talk to you about this. Strikeforce has been to San Diego before a couple of times. Is San Diego a pretty big market for you guys?
Yeah, we love San Diego. It's
We do love our MMA here.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's great mixed martial arts schools and fans, and it's a good time.
That's awesome, man. Well, we love having you guys back here. Tickets on sale tomorrow. You have to go see this fight because it's so interesting. This matchup. You're taking on Sarah Kaufman, who is the former champion, and Sarah Kaufman's a striker. She likes to stand up and box, and that's her way of winning fights. Ronda, on the other hand, likes to take fights to the ground. So, what do you say, Ronda, to the people that kind of say, well, Ronda's a one-trick pony. She can only do arm bars. What are you going to do if the fight doesn't go to the ground? Are you going to stand with Sarah?
I mean, I've been training standing more than anything else, of course. But for people to assume I'm a one-trick pony is not really,
They'd be in trouble, right?
Yeah, it's not a very wise assumption. Just because the first thing I do works doesn't mean I have nothing else after that. I mean, you could hope that, but when I'm fighting somebody, I always try to picture that I'm fighting the best version of them that has ever happened, and anything that I would have to leave up to assumption, I assume that they're way better than I could ever imagine,
Smart.
Yeah, you prepare for the best that they could possibly be. For them to be like, oh yeah, we haven't seen Ronda striking, so it's got to be bad, and we haven't seen her go to the 5th round, so she's got to have bad conditioning. I'm like, well, you can hope that those things are bad, but if they're not, then you're very unprepared.
Yeah. So if you're just basically, I'm gonna defend against the armbar and that's it, then good luck, because there's other stuff coming your way, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, I mean, one thing that started happening to me when I was doing judo was I would start doing arm bars all the time, and then everyone was so worried about it that for a while I just started winning on pinning everybody because everyone was so worried about their arms that they started giving up other things. So that's what happened in my fight against Misha. It wasn't she knew I wanted to arm bar her the whole time, but she was stuck in a position where it would have got called for a TKO unless she opened up for one. So it's not like you kind of have to trick the person into it. Let's
talk about that fight in particular for a second. Misha Tate was the former champion, and you guys had a lot of war words back and forth with each other on Twitter and through the media and stuff like that. And I really got the vibe that you didn't like each other. You girls didn't like each other very much.
We started out the whole thing started out like we didn't know each other at all, and then I kind of started okay, I'm gonna get all this stuff moving. And then by the end of it, we couldn't stand each other. So we started out like completely apathetic and ended up, completely despising each other.
And Scott, I mean, most of the time in MMA, a lot of this stuff is fodder for selling the fights and stuff like that, But legitimately, these two girls, I was kind of nervous when they were getting in there and fighting because I was like, "There's something bad's gonna happen."
I tell you, at the weigh-ins, I'm not sure if you saw the weigh-ins, but the weigh-ins, they were face to face, and all of a sudden they started headbutting each other. And
Oh my
I
God!
was like, "This is not really happening."
Awesome.
And we're standing on a 6-foot stage, and I go, "Oh my God, we're all gonna fall off." But it was probably the most intense weigh-ins I've been to.
And these are women. I mean, this isn't Nick Diaz we're talking about here. This is Ronda Rousey. She's not playing.
Yeah, they were prepared for it. That was the funny part. You can look at like the pictures of Scott Coker in the middle of like you see his face. It's like, what is going on?
Well, not only that, but you girls are in your underwear, so Scott's probably not trying to touch stuff. And it's getting a little inappropriate there.
Yeah, like where do you really push them
Exactly.
apart?
So Ronda,
Palms in.
yes. So the fight goes down, and it's actually the longest fight you had, which lasted like what, 4 minutes, I think.
I think it was like 4 minutes
Yeah.
and 27.
It wasn't very long, but the fight goes to the ground. You get her arm, and she's not tapping, which I was kind of like, okay, well that's different, because normally if you get a girl, or you get any opponent in an armbar and you have it locked pretty good, usually they're going to tap out because they want to fight again. But Miesha Tate wasn't tapping. You got to give her credit for that, but you didn't let go. You finished the job, and at the time she was done, her arm looked like a piece of spaghetti.
Oh!
Yeah, I mean, I might not like Miesha that much personally, but I mean, I do have to respect her after that, as a fighter, that, I have been in that position before where someone had me in an armbar and I just let them do it just so I could try to get it out.
Sure.
And, she does have my respect for that, but, she could have tapped at any time.
Yeah. And now I think she probably regrets it a little bit because,
Maybe she does it. I don't, regret not tapping before, and plus I think she's got like a lot more of respect from the fans too after that as well.
That's true.
Do you ever whisper to them, "Hey, better tap. You're gonna hear the snap," or anything like that, or you just
like a cool saying like
Yeah.
that?
Like, no, I don't have like a superhero.
Like, it's
face.
coming,
No,
it's
no.
coming.
No, I wish I had like a tagline to say, but no, you're never clever in that moment. I hate when they interview you right afterward. I'm like, oh yeah, you want to speak publicly in your most like unintelligible moment ever?
Sure, adrenaline's going overdrive.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? I just can't remember.
What did you think about that? I think it's pretty cool. So again, we have Ronda Rousey, the Strikeforce Women's Champion, in the studio with Scott Coker, who's the founder and CEO of Strikeforce. Strikeforce coming back to San Diego. Love that. August 18th, Ronda defending her title against Sarah Kaufman.
So Rhonda, I'm not into MMA. I'm kind of like a pacifist. But what I have to know is you are gorgeous. So do guys get like intimidated approaching you? Do you have problems dating guys? Because I mean, you're kind of an intimidating figure a little bit, but beautiful at the
And
same
sassy.
time.
She's sassy.
Oh, are you
thank
sassy
you.
girl?
Well, you know what? If a guy is intimidated by my career or my attitude or whatever, anything else like that, I'm not gonna feel bad. That kind of just helps me out with my like elimination process.
Weed him out.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't want to date a guy that's easily intimidated by a girl who has a cool career. Like I don't even want to deal with that. That
But what if
saves
it's
me
not
time.
your career? Like, what if he's scared you're gonna beat his ass? You guys get in a fight and he's scared you're gonna like break his arm. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he's either a wimp or he shouldn't be acting up that much anyway.
know his place.
Those are wise words. She may be young, but she gets it already. I like that. So I know, Rhonda, everybody asks you about, when's women's fighting going to be in the UFC? You don't have an answer for that. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Strikeforce, I know Scott is happy to have women MMA fighting.
Yeah, we started the female mixed martial arts division in the state of California back in 2006 with Carano fighting Elena Maxwell.
Yeah.
So we've had a history of some great fights in mixed martial arts
I'll
in the
tell you
female
what,
division.
if you've never seen women fight in MMA, they steal the show almost every time. Their fights are always exciting. They're always, jam-packed with action. I'm telling you right now, these fights, August 18th, this main event is going to be phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to it. Do you ever, I know, in case people don't know, Strikeforce has been bought out by the company that owns the UFC, so they're all under one banner now. And so it is a possibility, I'm sure, at some point. Do you ever get into Dana White's ear ever and say, hey, Dana, what do you think? Maybe at some point?
No, I mean, we really haven't had that conversation. But, I tell you, Showtime has been a great host for the female division. And they love it. It's been one of the highest rated shows. When the females fight, it's one of the highest rated shows on MMA for Strikeforce during that slot.
Sure.
So, to me, they love it. It's great. It's a great platform. and they're a great television partner, and we're going to continue the female fights on Showtime.
It's great. And if Dana ever does decide, say, you know what, Ronda, Scott, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a super fight, and it's gonna be Ronda versus maybe a Gina Carano, maybe a Cyborg or something like that.
Oh.
I mean, that's a possibility, right? Don't you think, Ronda?
Oh yeah, I'd fight both those girls.
Oh.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
I got nervous. I don't
So you
know
got
why.
no problems? I mean, Cyborg is a scary woman.
Yeah.
Scary woman. I've met her several times, and she frightens me. No joke. Not that you don't, because the way you're looking at me right now,
Right.
is giving me a little nerves.
Yeah.
But Gina Carano, you know, I think she's off doing other things. I think she's obviously, you know, MMA is not her thing right now. But Cyborg, that's a legitimate possibility, right?
Yeah, of course.
And
it
you
is.
got no problems fighting her?
No, she's gonna have a problem fighting me.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
Yeah!
yeah.
Wow.
Oh god.
San Diego, Scott, for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I want to see that
Please.
one. I want to see that one.
Yes.
So I got to talk to you, Scott, a little bit about more Strikeforce business. I know that you know the fighters like Gilbert Melendez has had some frustration over his opponents, and he wants to fight guys that are in the UFC and maybe bring them over to Strikeforce. Is that even a possibility? I know that you guys have, you know, great fighters in your stable, but would that ever be a possibility of bringing over some UFC guys?
I mean, right now they're going to run the leagues independently, so we have our own roster, and you know we're going to build those guys, like I said, on Showtime and you know the live events, and you know UFC has their roster, but you know never say never, and you know I think at some point these guys will all get it on, but for right now it's going to be run independent.
Okay. And then, you know, the heavyweight division in Strikeforce has kind of gone over to the UFC, but you did just wrap up the Grand Prix,
Yep.
which Daniel Cormier won. He's the next big thing in the heavyweight division. He's eventually probably going to be heading over to the UFC. Who would you like to see him matched up with?
Well, I tell you, there's some great fights over there for him. Daniel is a real threat. I mean, he's another Olympian, right? He
Yeah.
is
Wrestling.
in wrestling, and has great stand-up coaches now with AKA, and I think that when he goes over there, I think he can fight anybody. But the fight they're talking about right now is him and Kane. But you know, they're